Okay, welcome then to this session on evidence searching using psychology and behavioral science collection on the new EBSCOhost interface. As I just indicated, PBSC, as we'll refer to it at times during the course of this session, is available nationally in England for the NHS. I know that we may have some non-NHS librarians or library staff present. That's fine. You may be exploring this product for yourselves to see what it does, what it covers, etc. So in terms of this session then, we're going to be looking at this agenda. So by the way, I'm Richard Crooks. I work for the EBSCO Customer Training Services team as a senior customer training specialist based in England. So we'll look at the search strategy using the PICO framework. We'll explore wildcards and truncation, how we can apply those to our search. We'll also look at setting up alerts as well once we've run the search, and also where you can go for more support information, etc. Okay, so I hope that's what you're expecting in terms of the framework for this session. In terms of the actual training objectives, I hope that by the end of the session, you'll be able to create a search strategy using the PICO framework. You'll also be able to apply wildcards and truncation to search strings, and also be able to create a search alert to keep current with the literature, and also find further help and support information on EBSCO's databases, and in particular with reference to the new interface, which some of you may already be using. Nationally in the NHS is not yet there. You're due to migrate to it this year. But again, you get a foretaste of what to expect, especially with recent changes to the platform itself. So before we get into the search experience, I just want to give you an overview of this particular database. Some of you may not be familiar with it. Some of you have used it in the past, of course, or recently, as it's been around for some time now. But essentially, it provides active full-text journals, magazines to psychology, behavioral sciences, literature, and you can see you've got 315 titles there, and also the majority of those are also peer-reviewed. Also, if you have APA PsycInfo, you can also link to full text from citations within APA PsycInfo from the full text journals. So APA PsycInfo is, of course, an abstract in its only database provided by the APA. It's available on the EBSCO's platform, but with PBSC to complement that, you're able to also transfer those links to APA PsycInfo, so they'll be interchangeable, as it were. In terms of some of the sample titles that you'll find on this database, these are active full text titles with no embargo, so no barrier to the current full text for these journals. So for example, you've got the International Journal of Mental Health there, you've got the Journal of Clinical Child and Adolescent Psychology, and there are more, of course, including the Journal of Mental Health, Journal of Mental Health Counseling, Mental Health, Religion and Culture. So these are just a sampling of some key titles that are indexed on PBSC. Again, available active full text, current full text with no embargo. So again, you see psychology, health and medicine, substance use and misuse, therapy today. And of course, we can direct you where you can find more information in terms of the content coverage, etc. Also want to mention the aspect of PICO, of course, and we'll be looking at PICO specifically, but also want to mention the search app that's available on the new platform as well. So, of course, we do know there are multiple frameworks out there. Andrew Booth et al. Reported on 38 variants, so the likes of CocoaPop, Eclipse, PECO, which relates to the exposure as opposed to the intervention, PAO, which looks at the outcomes but without the comparison or comparative treatment. PICO, of course, is a very common clinical framework. We've got PICOTS there, which the app also covers, and that features the time element or type of study. And there's others like SPICE and SPIDER. So some of these may be more non-clinical nature, others are more clinically rated, and some have application, of course, to behavioral science as well. So again, that's just a sampling of some of them. So just want to give you the heads up in terms of the app that's been updated for EBSCOhost. It's also available through the Discovery service. So for those who work in the NHS, you've got access to the NHS Knowledge and Library Hub. So the PICO search in the new UI covers those 5 elements, and you can see the example there with eating disorders, etc. So typically when you're using this guided search, this app on the interface, as we'll see later, you're going to be populating information, entering terms in the population intervention areas, and that's a must, a mandatory to run this app. You may have a comparative treatment or procedure, and you can see here this one's on cognitive behavioral therapy, family-based therapy, which we'll explore in this session today, and then the outcome as well, which could be implied or maybe quite specific. So it could be quality of life, for example, pain control, and so on. And then you also have the T element, the time or type of study. So again, there could be a time frame associated with your search, but this is just highlighting the app that is available, and we'll see that live in due course. In terms of the search, we also want to consider the application of the syntax for the EBSCOhost platform. So we may have seen this in other sessions that I've been running in relation to CINAHL Medline. So again, we're using the same platform essentially. Some different examples here in terms of truncation. So if you're looking for bulimia or likewise anorexia, you can abbreviate or shorten the word, and then you can add the asterisk to find bulimia, bulimic, or anorexia, or anorexic, etc. You can also use the asterisk, the truncation symbol between terms. So if you look at cognitive therapy, you might want to also explain cognitive behavior, also expand it to cognitive behavior therapy or cognitive behavioral therapy. So if you enter the asterisk after cognitive and before therapy, you'll find all three variations in your search. So results will be retrieved, bringing back where those three sets of terms are mentioned. Then there's also exact phrase searching. So we use double quotation marks. Again, you would have been aware of that if you've attended any of the CINAHL Medline sessions or supporting certificate reviews. So anorexia nervosa, we're enclosed with double quotation marks, would find the exact phrase. So at least there'll be at least one occurrence of this phrase indicated in the results somewhere. So in the citation fields, etc. We also have the single character replacement, the question mark. So if you're looking for psychosis or psychoses, you can simply replace the I or the E, and you can find both variations there. Now, that's not to be confused with the use of the hash wildcard, which my US colleagues refer to as the pound sign. That is to find terms with alternate spelling, and typically that would be the likes of pediatrics, behavioral, and so on, color, and so on. So with pediatrics, if you place the hash wildcard before the E after the P, then you'll find both variations. Likewise, with behavior, if you add the hash after IO before the R, then you'll find the US spelling as well. And of course, you can also combine that with the truncation symbol to find the likes of, for example, pediatrics, pediatricians, and so on, or behavioral, and so on. So again, we've got more information available on these elements for PBSC and also searching on the EBSCOhost platform. So nothing's really changed, by the way, with the syntax. So if you're familiar with this, with the classic interface, which I know a number of you are still using, then it will be the same on the new platform. One difference will be with the use of the truncation. It has to have a minimum of 3 characters before the truncation symbol, which of course the examples there do. So you would have to have 3 characters before that, and that's true as of December. So the month just passed. In terms of proximity searching, again, to enhance or expand the search, we also have these near and within operators. So near, finding words if they are within a specified word range or less of one another, regardless of the order. So using the example of eating disorders, you'll see eating and 5 disorders. That means you'll retrieve records where eating is mentioned near 5 words or less of disorders, or disorders is mentioned near 5 words or less of eating. So again, you can use this according to what is most appropriate in your search experience. Within is more restrictive because it's searching for the terms in the order you enter them. So again, within a specified word range. So if you think of family therapy, if we enter family W2 therapy, that will find family, the word family, the term family within 2 words or less of therapy, but not therapy within 2 words or less of family, essentially. Now, multiple terms can be used on either side of the operator. So if you're looking for support or care workers, you could search for support or care and 3 worker. So that means you can find support worker or care worker or workers. You can change that. You could abbreviate or truncate work, for example, related to those who work in support areas or care. So again, you can change this around. You might want to put W3 into N3. That would then search the terms in the order you enter them. So it would be support worker or care worker, etc. Okay, so again, you can adjust these to suit your preference and what's most appropriate for your search. And also to add, in terms of comparisons with other platforms like ADJ, for Ovid, ADJ 3 would be 2 words or less, not 3 words. So with EBSCOhost, on this platform, it is literal. So N5 is 5 words or less, W2 is 2 words or less, N3 is 3 words or less. Okay, so just to clarify that. So again, I'll cover some of this in other sessions that you may have attended, but if not, then you've got the information today there. Okay, so we'll have a copy of the slide deck with that information. So as I've indicated, we are going to look at a particular research question today and creating that strategy, and that will be PICO, of course. So we have this research question: in adolescents with eating disorders, how does cognitive behavior therapy compare to family-based therapy in improving eating disorder symptoms? So I've already bolded some of the key elements of this question. So we're looking at a particular age group, a population group with eating disorders. We're looking at an intervention, cognitive behavior therapy or CBT. And also we have a comparison with family-based therapy to improve eating disorder symptoms. So as we consider this, we're going to look at a particular framework, of course, PICO. We've seen some examples of other frameworks, so we could use other frameworks if that would be more appropriate. We are looking at PICO specifically. So in terms of that arrangement, I've got the table here with those 4 elements of not using the time element or the type of study today. So we have got the PICO clinical framework. We've got the population, which I've just mentioned, which relates to the adolescents. Cognitive behavior therapy is the intervention. It's being compared with family-based therapy, and the goal, the intention is to improve the improvement in eating disorders, obviously to reduce them, lessen them, and so on. So with population or the patient group, we have obviously numerous terms to consider. The italicized terms there in lowercase are the keyword search terms. So these are the free text terms that we can enter. Again, this is, kind of second guessing what authors, researchers, editors use in terms of referring to the population group, the intervention, etc. So obviously eating disorders is a key element here. Plus, of course, we're looking at the age, the adolescents, which could also be rendered young people, teenagers, or youth. We've got specific eating disorders like anorexia, bulimia, binge eating, of course. And then we have, obviously, with cognitive behavioral therapy, it could be CBT, it could be cognitive therapy, or cognitive behavioral therapy, which I've not listed there. Family-based therapy could be abbreviated to FBT. Family psychotherapy, as you see there in the third line, is mentioned. The ones in uppercase, as you might guess, are the subject terms that are appropriate to this database. So again, if you look at APA PsycInfo, they will be APA thesaurus terms. If you look at Medline, there'll be medical subject headings. So these are specific to PBSC. So we have eating disorders. We have anorexia nervosa, of course. They would be expected to be index terms. So they would then be the authoritative terms to identify relevant content. Those headings being assigned to any article about eating disorders or anorexia specifically, if appropriate. Cognitive therapy there, cognitive psychology could also be important, and then some others that we may not know. So obviously, when we start our searching, we may not know what the preferred subject term is. There are some institutions who start with the subject search, with their browser thesaurus, and identify those terms first, and that will give them additional clues as to what the keyword search terms could be as well. So again, you may start in an opposite order, as it were. So you may not start the way that I'm doing, which is basically the keyword searching initially. Okay, so not a right or wrong approach, just what works best. And again, you may be running different iterations of this search before you fine tune it to be sure that you'll find what's out there in the literature. Okay, so with that in view, we will go to the live demonstration. Again, we've got quite a lot to cover, so we'll try to get through this at a good pace. But if you've got any comments, questions, or feedback, maybe you've been using this database, maybe you've run some searches already, so we'd like to hear from you. And also anything you see regarding the new platform, the features, if you've got any comments or feedback upon those that would be appreciated. So right now, if you're working in the NHS, which I believe most of you are today, then you would be using the classic interface for PBSC currently, but this is the future. Okay, so let me just go to my desktop and I'll share my screen. This is obviously the advanced search page, which again will be the default entry point for most library services related to health or health-related databases. We do have a basic search, but we won't go there today. But we will focus on creating that search strategy based on PICO. So we've got the search boxes here. We've got multiple rows. We can add more rows up to 12 now, I think it was 7, I think it's 12 now. And then so you can use more and enter your terms sequentially there if you need to. We've got the Boolean operators and or not to combine terms or exclude terms. We've got the drop-down menu for the field codes as well, so you can see they're listed here. And we have the XB field code, as you see, which is title and abstract. Okay, so it will search across both fields, but whether they appear in either or field. Okay, we have obviously the filters below as well, and we have our search options. So typically for the NHS, the configuration is to the initial searching to be a phrase search. So what that means is by default, any keyword searching that you enter, especially unqualified keyword searching, means you will search for words as they appear near each other. So it's been changed from the default setting. So this is a proximity search, but it will search for words as they appear next to each other in the order you enter them. So if you put in bipolar disorder, it will search for bipolar disorder in that order, as you'd expect to. Final search terms simply adds the AND operator, find any is the OR operator, and so on. I won't cover all these today because of time. We do cover them in other sessions, but I just refer you to the context-sensitive help menu, EBSCO Connect there, which gives you more information on search modes and also the expanders, which is expanding or broadening your search by pulling results based on the indexed content as well. So again, if you've got any more questions about that, please let me know. But what I want to do here is begin running the search. So I'm gonna start in a moment. Let me just, sorry, not here. Let me just bring this across. Sorry, I need to open something else up here on the wrong screen. So again, we're going to start off with the population group essentially. So that means the adolescents with eating disorders. So we could approach it in different ways, but I'm going to approach it a particular way this afternoon. So I'm going to begin looking at adolescents, the population group. So we'll do that. So bear with me as I begin to consider this. So what I'm going to do here is we're going to use truncation. So we're looking at the population group. So adolescents. Okay, I'll make sure I get the spelling right. Okay, so I'm truncating that for adolescents in terms of adolescent, so plural, singular, etc. Then I'm also going to include teenage or teenagers. So I'm going to truncate this to, this could be teens, teenagers, etc. Teenage. I'll add youth here as well. Again, could be the same age group. Also young person, and for that I'll use double quotation marks here. Okay, young person. And also I will add young people as well. Okay, so again, we've got multiple terms, free text terms that we're using. And I'll also qualify this by searching within the title or abstract field. So from the drop down, I'll choose XB. Now you can run an unqualified field search, and that will default to the specific database fields for this database. So typically it will include title, abstract, the subject, plus additional fields like the author fields. And if you need more information on the default unqualified search for this database, I can refer you to some of the documentation as well. So this is essentially the initial keyword search, and I'm going to run this search now as is. Now, what you'll see in a moment is the advanced search page maintains the 3 rows. So this is a setting in our EBSCO Experience Manager tool. So that has to be set up this way. And it also gives you the search history, which is currently collapsed. So if I unhide that here, you'll see the search string is given here with the set number. The search options are detailed. So these are still applicable, although they might not necessarily apply directly because we're now qualifying this search with the field code XB. The number of results, the hit count is given, and also it lists the database we're using, so we can be sure that we're on the right database here. There's also this tools menu for each of these search strings, so you can edit the search here. Add to project is essentially where you're creating a personal folder, and then you're saving the search to that folder. We'll use that as we go on, and then you can delete if you make a mistake, etc. Okay, so that's the first element of PICO. That's the title or abstract search. We're now looking at the subject search. So for that, I'm going to click New Search and go to the Subjects tab here. Okay, so this is where we can browse the source. So at this stage, we're going to look for teenage, I think, at this stage. So I click Search here. And in fact, let me just, the term begins with here. See, let me go back a step here. I'm going to do adolescent. Again, you're not always going to know what the different approach is. Okay, so we've got some here, and what you can do at this stage, if you're unsure about some of these things, you can go through some of these lists here, and you can click on a term, for example, use teenagers here, and then you can see you've got broader terms like teenagers here. So we might want to use teenagers in this instance. So we can click teenagers here. It gives you a scope note. Okay, so this is basically telling us it's an age range of 13 to 18, as you'd expect, although you could say 19, they're still teenagers. But this is used for adolescents, of course. We can select the main term, and in PBSC, when you select the main term, and this explode option is selected, notice it's automatically including the narrow terms. So all these elements, exceptional teenagers, gifted teenagers, homeless teenagers, all these are selected, right? So these are other index terms to identify content that relate to this population group. So it's quite broad, but that's fine because we're going to combine it with other elements in this search. We can also include the broader term youth here as well. If you scroll down, you may see some more as well. There's a lot there, of course. These are all selected automatically. We've got adolescents here specifically, adolescent psychology. You've got others like church work with teenagers, etc. There's others here, for example, let's see now, social work with teenagers, consumers, marriage, suicide. Anyway, we can select all these terms, etc., and also young adults as well. So we can browse that list and identify the appropriate index terms related to our keyword search term. So we can then add this to the search, and you'll see the list of subheadings are included here. Now, for each of these index terms, you can see their prefix with the field code, the DE field code descriptor, which tells us this is an exact heading that's used to identify content about this population group within this specific database on EBSCOhost. So DE will be the equivalent of MH in Medline or CINAHL for those control vocabularies. So once we've felt that this is appropriate, then we can click search here. This will then add that data, the subject terms in the search history, so S2, which is obviously quite large, and then we can combine the two together in one set. So we can select both from this search history and combine with OR, and then we can see the two set numbers are combined in the top search box, and then click search. So this is the first part. This is like the first half of the first one of PICO, the teenage adolescent group. But these specifically have eating disorders. So we're going to look at that now. So for that, we will go in, go back into our search. And we're going to try, again, using some of the things that we've explored in the initial introduction. So for example, I'm going to add eating N2 disorder, okay? And I'm going to truncate that. So what that means is we can be looking at eating disorders, so eating near 2 words or less of disorders, or disordered, or it could be disordered eating. So it could be disordered near 2 words or less of eating. So the words can be in any order when we use the near operator. I'm going to add also anorexic and truncate that. So anorexic in this way would find anorexia anorexic as well. Likewise with bulimic, I can truncate that too. So that will be bulimia or bulimic. Purging, I can use this term as well. So I can add the asterisk to the end of that string, or vomiting. Again, vomit or vomiting. Again, these all relate to eating disorders. And also for binge, I can add bing with the asterisk. That's binging or binge, etc. in terms of eating. And then qualify that with the field code XB for title abstract search, and click search here. So again, this is the initial keyword searching, the free text searching. So identifying what would commonly be used in relation to this particular problem. So the second step, of course, this is the second half of this first part of the search, and the second half will be to explore the equivalent subject terms. So again, we'll go back to new search, go to the subjects tab, and we'll browse for eating disorders. Okay, so as you might expect, as I indicated in the initial PowerPoint, you've got the term eating disorders. If you click through to that term, again, the scope notes given, you can see what it's used for. So it includes eating disturbances, eating dysfunctions. So if you were to browse for those terms, it would map you to this index term. It's the main term, so we can select that. Again, when we select it, the explode setting is on, and you can see the narrow terms, including anorexia nervosa, binge eating disorder, bulimia, etc., are automatically selected. We can scroll down and see if there's any others here that might be of interest. And I think we'll leave the eating disorders in art and literature off, and the others like compulsive behavior may be too broad. So I think we'll be satisfied with those for now. So we can scroll to the top, and you'll notice there's an arrow just above my taskbar on the right. So if you click on that arrow, it will take you back to the top of the screen and will allow us to add the search to the search box. Again, you see the subject terms collated using the OR operator, because they're related terms, and we group them together in one set. So click search here, and then we'll combine that with the original keyword search for eating disorders and related terms. So again, S5, S4, combine with OR, and then run the search here. Now, once you've done that, because the patient problem population element relates to adolescents with eating disorders, we'll combine those two sets together. So S6 relates to eating disorders, S3 adolescents, teenagers, etc., and we'll combine them together in one set. Okay, so we can combine that with the other elements of the intervention in comparison in due course. Okay, so we've got that there. And we'll then move on to the next element. So again, if there's any questions or comments or feedback so far, I haven't seen any, but if there are any, please do feel free to post that in the Teams chat, or if you set the raised hand icon, I can unmute you. But we will now look at the next element, which relates to cognitive therapy. So again, we'll start our keyword searching, and I'm going to use truncation again, and I'll put in cognitive. So cognitive, and add the truncation symbol between the term, and I will also add therapy, and that will be truncated. So that will be cognitive behavioral therapy, or therapies, or therapist, or cognitive therapy, or therapist, etc. Okay, and I'll also add CBT as the acronym for that as well. So again, I'm going to qualify this with the XP field code and run the search for this. Okay, so let's see now. This is a good example as to where I've made cognitive. Yes, I have spelt this wrong. So this is a good example where you can edit a search. So you can see I've spelt cognitive wrong. It still brought us some results. But if I go into the tools menu and to edit the search, I can make this correction. So what I do is click edit search, takes me back to the search page. I will then add the I that I'm missing, and I'll make it lowercase again. Okay, cognitive. I will then update the search. Click continue. I'll close that down and should now see it running. So you can see the figures have doubled simply because I got the spelling wrong. So again, easy to correct, adjust that. If you end up with a 0 and you want to rerun the search in a different way, then you can also just delete that string as needed. And whenever you delete a string, a subject set, search set, it will renumber them sequentially. Okay. At the moment, the default sort, as you can see, is reverse chronological order. So we're on S8 currently, but you can resort, as we'll do so by clicking ID. So we'll do that as we complete the search itself. So I've revised that, I've edited that, it's now doing what it should, finding more information, and we now want to look at the equivalent subject term. So again, we'll go back to new search under Research Tools, we'll click the Subjects tab on that page, and we'll search for cognitive therapy. So cognitive therapy, okay, and you'll see we've got cognitive therapy indicated there. So again, click through to the term, you'll see what it's used for. Again, the main term we can select, narrow terms automatically selected. And if you scroll down, you'll see we've got the related term, cognitive psychology, which we can also include in our search. So select that term, move up the screen, and then click add to search. The terms are listed in the search box, and we click search here. So that is the equivalent subject search. Again, we'll combine the two together, S9, S8 with a Boolean OR, combined with OR. That's listed in the search box, and then we click search to run that. So that's the intervention in terms of the PICO framework. We're now looking at the other element, which is the comparison. So family-based therapy or equivalent terms. So for that, again, we're going back to our search box. And again, we use truncation. So put family, add the truncation symbol, the asterisk between the terms. So again, it might be family therapy or family-based therapy or family-based therapist or family therapist. So I'm going to truncate the term therapy as well. And then add FBT, the acronym. And of course, we may overlook at family counseling as well. So family asterisk counseling. And again, we might need to be mindful of US spelling for this too. So I'll just truncate this here also. Okay, so you can see me using truncation both at the end of terms and also between terms as well. So again, that's explained and detailed again in the PowerPoint. So XB and click search here. Okay, so we've got our results there. And then we're going to look at the equivalent subject terms. So new search, go to subjects, and then we'll put in family therapy. Okay. And you can see here within this index, we have a number of different options. We've got family. The suggestion, of course, is to use family psychotherapy. You can see the systemic family therapy, etc. as well. But if we click on family psychotherapy, again, longer scope note there, and you can see what it's used for. Then if we select this main term, you can see it's going to include these others as well. Okay. Now, also includes the related terms. So we've got family therapists here, again, could be useful, etc. Systemic family therapy is included here as well as a narrow term. So those are relevant to our search. And then we can go to the top of the screen and add those to the search. Again, run the search based on those index terms. And then we've completed that element. So we can combine the subject search for family therapy and related terms with the original title or abstract search for related terms, and then we combine them with OR. So at this stage, so outcomes are going to, so the outcomes we're not searching for directly, they're going to be implied in terms of what we retrieve. So I'm just going to click search here to combine those terms. But what I'll do now is actually resort this so you can see the sequence. So to resort the search history, just go to the top set, S13 here, you'll see ID above it. Just click on that little, those two letters, those characters there, and this will resort so you can see where we started from, S1, S2, and so on. And again, if you spot any errors with any of these elements, you can go into, for example, set 11, S11, click the tools menu, edit search details, click edit search, and then you can make changes here if you wish. Okay. So again, I'm not going to change anything at this stage. I'll leave that as it is. But again, if you spot errors, you can quickly correct them and they will rerun the search. And again, I'll resort S1, etc. Okay. So at this stage, having completed those elements, so essentially I've covered the three elements of the PICO. So essentially the population element, the intervention, and the comparison. So I'm now going to group these together. So we've got the set involving adolescents and eating disorders, which is S7. And then you've got the elements related to cognitive behavioral therapy and so on. That is S10. And then finally, we have family therapy or family-based therapy, S13. So again, the combination of the title abstract search, the keyword search with the index subject search. So using the control vocabulary for this database. So those three elements, we'll scroll to the top there and combine with and. You'll see those grouped together in the top left search box. So S7 and S10 and S13 and click search. So this will give us a set of results based on those terms. Okay, so which is what we're looking for at this stage. So I'll scroll down. Let's see, we've got 34 records here. Okay, so at this stage, what we might want to do is obviously look at particular articles which could be particularly relevant and give us an indication as to what other terms we could be using, whether they're subject terms or keyword search terms. So you'll see item 2 here is particularly relevant, and especially as it's a systematic review and meta-analysis, a high quality evidence. So we've got this family therapy and cognitive behavior therapy for eating disorders in children and adolescents. So again, a comparison which is ideal, and it's recent, of March 2025, so just under a year ago. So if you want to explore more in relation to this record, initially you can expand the abstract, click show more, so you can scan the abstract for additional terms, etc. You can do that. Also the subject fields, and you'll notice they're also collapsed. So there are 10 additional subject headings here which you can refer to. So click +10 and you can see the various headings here. So again, it gives you a snapshot or a summary of the article, of course, and also in bold you'll see the key terms that we've used, and there maybe others that we may want to use. What we can also do is go straight into the article itself or the actual bibliographic record to explore further as well. And you can see again the list of authors. You can see is this from the European Child and Adolescent Psychiatry Journal, and the subjects are listed, and again the abstract in full there as well. Now this one under access options is also available full text, so we can go into the PDF, for example, if we want to actually read the article. Now if you're running this search on behalf of a user, of course, which most likely you are, you can forward this article to them. I'll show you how you can do that later. But this is the full article, so you can obviously scan this, read through this, check this out. We have various options to process these records. So you've got the option to save this item, the bookmark icon there. There's the cite tool. This allows you to copy the citation. Now, it may be that you want to switch from Harvard to APA 7th edition, so you can copy that to the clipboard. You can also export the citation as well. So you can export it in RIS format, RefWorks, and so on, EndNote Web. And again, copy is there. In addition, you can share this article as well. So you've got OneDrive is supported, as is Google Drive. You can also generate a link to this article as well and copy that to the clipboard. And you can also email it. Now, when you have full text content, and as you know from the initial introduction, a lot of the content is active full text, non-embargoed. When you email the article, if it's available in full text formats, PDF and online full text, those will be included as an attached file as well. So you're actually going to be sending not just the metadata, the bibliographic information, you'll send the full text content as well to the recipient, and you'll get confirmation on screen that that's been sent. So again, this is an article which is particularly relevant to our search. There's also the option to download it as well. You can download the metadata only if preferred. So in PDF, Word format, BibTeX is supported. Or again, if preferred, you can download the PDF or the online full text. Okay, and then we also have the print option for those who wish to print and read offline, etc. Or you can send your printer, etc. And then also we have the listen option. So the MP3 file can be downloaded as well for this article. So if you prefer to listen to the article later time, you can forward the MP3 file or download it here or play it online as needed. Okay, so just to clarify also with the HTML online full text, this does allow for translation. First of all, it allows you to navigate, of course, the article itself. So if you want to jump to sections, you can. The site tools there, the add to project option is there as well. You can add that to a project, you can share, etc., download, print, and you've also got a translation option. So if this article was in German, for example, then you could translate that from German to English, etc. So you see the multiple languages that are covered here, includes Guelga and also Welsh as well. So that is provided by Microsoft, by the way. So again, that's a Microsoft translation, a machine translation of the original article. So wherever you see online full text, the translation option is available, and you still have the text-to-speech software, again, improving accessibility to content on this interface. So you can listen to it, you can download it, and also with online full text, it allows you to change the text highlighting or word color. There is also additional support for accessibility. So we do have this icon on the top right here. So users can request additional remediation for this, content remediation. So for example, if you want this in Word format, you can request that as well. Okay, so again, that's available. Okay, so looking at the search itself, okay, so we're going to go back to results here. Obviously, at this stage, you may want to, download the search itself or save it. So again, there's a couple options here. First of all, you've got the option to download, so you can select these sets, choose the download option. You'll see the search given, of course, quite long, but also the various formats, and you can download this in PDF, Word format, CSV if you want a table of that spreadsheet, XML, also rich text format, which I'll use here, and click download. So what that will do then, it will then allow you to save the search in a document format. And when that's available, I can then show you that. I think it's now, let's see. I've got, yep, so I can go to here and I'll drag that across so you can see that online. So this is the downloaded search. It gives you the original query, the expanded query, and also the time run, the date stamp, the results, the search modes applied, etc., the database and the interface. And that's true of each of these sets here. So this is the subject search using index terms, and then you get the combined sets, etc., and so on. So again, this gives you the complete list of the search strategy used in this context. Okay. Now you can also save the search itself. So if you go to and I'm going to just hide the search history for now. Go to the result list and the tools menu, you'll see you can save the search here. So for that, you'll be prompted to sign into EBSCO if you've not been signed in already. But you can change the name here. So for example, we can add, let's see, adolescents and eating disorders. Okay, eating disorders, CBT, and FBT. Okay. If I am doing this on behalf of a user, of course, which most likely I would be as a librarian or member of the library team, then I can add comments here, who it's for perhaps, or more details about it. The combined query is given here. You can copy that to the clipboard. So that's the complete query combined. So you can run that from here. You can copy that and rerun it on the database. And also the other information is given, and the subqueries also are given as well. So if you scroll down to the bottom of the page, you can then save this. It's saved, and to find that, if you go to the save folder on the left, you'll see we now have the search here. Now at this time, although I've saved it, it's only saved for the duration of the session. So it may be that you want to you save it beyond that, most likely would, and we would advise users to sign in from the outset. So you have got EBSCO on the top right there. This is where you would sign in from the beginning. If you have now within the NHS in England, we have EBSCO single sign-on, so it's synchronized with your Open Athens login. So typically, when you go to PBSC currently within the Classic interface, your folder would automatically be signed into in any case. If you're outside the NHS, then you'd come across this scenario where you would need to either create the account or sign in here, okay, or via the toolbar link. And now it's asking me to sign into my Open Athens account, which I didn't do before. So I'm not sure if I'll be able to remember that from here. But anyway, we'll go back a step. Okay, so but you can create the account here if you need to, and you can enter the details. Once you've done that, you can sign in here. Okay, so I'm not sure it's going to do that for me. Let me just check this if this will work. And no, it's going to bring me back to Open Athens again. So apologies for that. I didn't think to register or at least sign in there when I could have done. I might be able to just pause in a moment and find my account. So anyway, that's where you would sign in, and also you see the search history listed here. If we go back a step to the search itself, then also to mention, while we're on this page looking at the search results, you can change the view settings. So you've got 10 currently showing, you can increase that to 50. That figure will increase in due course to a much larger number. So that's being worked on in a sense as I speak. So that will change from 50 to a higher figure than that. Currently it's been asked for before, and it's being currently reviewed at this time. You can also change the relevance, the sort from relevance to newest or oldest records. and you have the tools above the result list to process these. So, for example, if you're short on time, you cannot review all these records, then you can simply save them, of course. So you can select, and then you can save these. Okay, these are then in the save folder. If we go back to the save folder now, you'll see those records are now listed here. Okay, so you can review them in this list, and you can also download the list as well if you prefer, and add to a project. So again, a project is a signed in folder, your own custom folder area where you can, collate your search and search results together in one place. And you can also export from here as well. So you can export to RIS formats, RefWorks, EndNote, and so on. Okay, from within the save folder itself. Okay. So in addition, so again, you can download from here as well. You've got the download option. You can download these records. So if you want to look at these in Word format, then you can click download here. And I'll bring that back in a minute when that comes up. That's completed. And I'll save it. And I'll just open it up here. So I just drag this across, and you'll see the Word document with these results, these 34 records saved as well. Okay, so they're listed here. And then you'll see the metadata, the bit of information shown, and that includes links where appropriate as well, publisher, and so on. So you have other formats, include BibTeX here as well. So you can download it from there. We have, again, the add to project option, the share option again. So if you want to share it in Google Drive or OneDrive, you can do that here. You can also email these references as well as they are and send it via this page, this box. There's also the cite tool again. So again, if you want to generate the citations in the preferred style, so Harvard is the default format for the NHS in England. You can still choose other formats like APA, for example, if you prefer. You can copy it all to the clipboard, or you can export again to in RIS formats, RefWorks, EndNote, and so on. It's again from the result list. Okay. So that's the result list. Again, you can also explore each of these records. You can click through to them. You can expand the abstract. In EBSCO Experience Manager, there is an option to set that as a default. However, because you're accessing a national subscription, then obviously whatever's been agreed at a central level is essentially what will take precedent. Of course, if you're outside the NHS England, then you may have your own way or to configure this, your preference, but there is an option in EBSCO Experience Manager to expand the results, the abstract by default, so you can see it in its entirety. Part of the reason for not doing that from the outset is really to reduce the cognitive load for users, keep the results succinct, but still usable in terms of viewing the title, the citation fields, which now includes, of course, the page numbers and the total number of pages for articles. And again, the subject fields are also collapsed as well to avoid taking up too much space on screen. And again, you'll see the various options here. Now, one thing we didn't look at is the options to filter as well. So we've only got 34 records, and we might want to export those ones. So there is the option to export these from the drop-down menu. You can see export results up to 25,000. You click on that link. Again, if you are in NHS England, then you will be signed into Open Athens, so you would need to sign in here again. Okay, but unfortunately, I think I may not be able to do this. I may take me to Open Athens again. What I might do, I'm just going to pause here momentarily. So again, the search history is displayed there. We've gone through that in terms of saving it, downloading it, etc., which you can do so. But also, you can set a search alert as well. So the search alert is done in the same way as the save search. You go above the result list to the three dots, the tools menu, create the alert here. But it will tell you to sign in, okay, to do this. So basically, it generates an online form. You enter your credentials, and then you would save the alert, and that will be valid for up to 1 year. So it's possible to extend it before it expires. You should be notified before it's due to expire, but any alerts that have been created will be stored. Let me just try this as well. I think it's going to be the same thing because it's an NHS account. Yeah, I think before I used the another demonstration account, but I'm using the specific NHS England demonstration account, which of course I cannot access directly. But the alerts are under the My Dashboard area. So alerts is where you would find that alert. Okay. Likewise, regarding alerts, if you want to set up alerts for publications, we also have the option with Publications Authority here on the left to actually view publications indexed in this database. So they're alphabetically listed. You can use the alpha menu, or you can search for publications. So for example, I'm just going to clear my screen here. If I type in for psychology today, you'll see it's available full text. So I can click through to that. It gives us the publication details and also the ability to browse the publication, and also the tools menu allows me to create an alert here. I can't show that right now because I'm not signed in, but you can create a search alert that will be stored and will rerun your search either daily, weekly, or monthly, depending on what setting you choose. And the alert for the publications like Psychology Today will notify you of any new content to the database. Okay, so that is available. Now I'm just going to go back and also briefly show you the PICO app as well. So if we go to PICO here on the top right, this gives you these boxes here as you see. Okay, so if we look at another example of a search here, for example, with depression, exercise, and antidepressants compared, then we can enter our term here. So for example, we can put in depression here. We can add the intervention, which will be the exercise, and the comparison will be antidepressants. And the outcome will be essentially, it could be quality of life or just reduction in depression. I'll put quality of life for now until we get on here. So you can just populate the elements of PICO. The first two are mandatory. You must have terms in those fields. Comparison, of course, is recommended. It may not be appropriate. Outcome is optional. It could be implied. And time or type of study may not also be relevant in searching. Again, it's optional. And then you add that to the search. And if I cancel that, you'll see the search string is now added to the search box. So we've got those sets combined with the Boolean and then we can run the search here for those terms. Okay, so it's got 13 records, but of course I can change that. I can consider other terms I want to add as well. So again, just indicates it's another way of searching, a quick way of searching using the PICO framework there, as we've just done. So that's included in the interface. For those outside the NHS, it may not be switched on. It's something which is not mandated. It's something that needs to be enabled behind the scenes in EBSCO Experience Manager. And that's been rolled out nationally in England for the National Knowledge and Library Hub, and is also applicable to the EBSCO's databases. But of course, it's been updated for the new platform. So again, it works better than the original version on the classic interface. So again, now all the searching I've done, both in terms of the search history, which you see, and also the PICO search, etc., is recorded in recent activity. So again, if you look there, you'll see we've got the searches there, and you can sort them as well. So if we go to oldest, you'll see the sequence. The original search we ran gives you the search string, so the set number of search string, the date that was run, the time, sorry, the results, the terms, of course. We've got the expanders and all that there as well. And if I scroll down, you'll see more here as well. So the complete set there. And I can just go in and delete this last element as it's not related to the first search. So even on this page, I can also select and download the search. I can add it to a project. So if I create my own personal folder, I can also delete if it's no longer required as well. It's the option to bulk delete within the search history here. Any viewed records will also be recorded here as well. So again, remember, I'm not signed into my EBSCO, so if you want to keep this information, then you would need to be signed in. But it may be that you would download the search history from the advanced search page, and then you may want to just remove these elements from here. Okay. So again, those are displayed. Now I'm just going to check my PowerPoint to see how we're getting on in terms of what I plan to cover this afternoon. I'm nowhere near the hour mark. So what I might do, just briefly show you the help menu here as well, by the way. So there's an online help menu on the bottom left. So click help here, and it will take you to the main EBSCO Connect portal and the quick start guide. And I think, let me just see here, where am I? Yeah, so because it's NHS England, it's actually directed me to the quick start guide for discovery. It typically will go to the quick start guide for EBSCOhost. So then there are two different quick start guides. One is for discovery, which is as the hub, and the other is the EBSCOhost interface, etc. So, but there is an online help available that you can use. So again, this is a demo site which has been set up. So although it's a working demo, not being rolled out nationally to England yet, that's coming in due course. So what I'm going to do here now, I'm going to go back to my PowerPoint. So again, just to recap, regarding the PICO search, we've got the various elements represented here in this screenshot. So that the elements that we covered, which relate to the population group, the intervention, the comparison, and obviously the comparison there. So there's actually 3 elements there altogether that we're looking at. And of course, once you've found the article which is particularly relevant, then you can explore the terms used, look at the abstract, look at the full text if available as well for additional clues, and rerun the search as needed. So we do offer further trained support. We have links here again to the new EBSCOhost interface quick start guide. So the one that was directed to the discovery guide would direct you here, although in England it typically is going to be set up where it directs you to your own help pages nationally. So again, for example, in the hub, it directs you to the Knowledge and Library Hub help pages as opposed to the standard default quick start guide. There's information on using PICO as well. PICO, also searching with wildcards, and also creating and managing search alerts as well. So we have the EBSCO Healthcare Training Sources portal, which collates more information, and that includes the training sessions, so further training sessions that we're running, and we will enhance these with more features being released for the new interface as well. And of course, with EBSCO Connect, that's the main support portal. That includes additional tutorials, also links to EBSCO Academy for training as well with e-learning courses, etc. So you can access that through connect.ebsco.com. And for those who work in England, in the NHS specifically, any technical issues, queries that you have, you should raise a ticket with the help desk, with the service desk first. They will escalate to EBSCO as needed. So essentially, if you're having technical issues, please go to the service desk first. So I'm happy to stop here, but you can also contact me directly at rcooks@ebsco.com as well. So I wish you a good rest of the day, and thanks for joining today's session. Thank you very much.